Hi, ladies. Welcome to Pillar 2 Vulnerability. This is one of my favorite pillars ever, actually, in this program, particularly, and I'm really excited to share more about this pillar. If you looked at the worksheet, let me just go ahead and pull up the worksheet quickly. You will have noticed um, that the first question that I started off with was, how do you feel when you feel vulnerable? I asked you to describe the sensations that you felt in your body, um, the responses that you felt as you focused on this pillar. So as you move through this week, I really advise you to pay extra special attention to moments where you feel vulnerable. Allow yourself to drop into this more softer, sensitive energy and space for yourself. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, with yourself, with your partner if you have one, or if you're dating, with that person, with your family, your loved ones, even with your colleagues if you'd like as well, or coworkers. But especially with your friends and family, your loved ones, and with your partner. Um, and as you move through this week and these moments, and you find yourself feeling vulnerable, I want you to really acknowledge what's happening on a physical and body level. I can tell you, when I worked on this pillar, I actually found myself in several vulnerable moments with a romantic partner, where I was expressing my feelings. It could be joy, but it was, I think at the time, it was really feeling some pain, some anger, and I felt really vulnerable. Expressing that to him. I noticed how I felt a hot, warm sensation in my body. My chest was hot. At the same time, my hands were clammy and cold, and I felt frozen. It was like a strange, swirling sensation of both hot and cold running simultaneously throughout my body. Um, I noticed when I I made an effort to be more vulnerable with my family, especially my parents as well. Growing up, we all love each other immensely in my family, but we don't really show each other our vulnerabilities or express our emotions that openly. So I really made it a point to give what I wanted to really receive from my family growing up. So I made it a point to be more vulnerable with my parents, especially to my mother and my father. Tell them how I'm feeling, um, all. And it was very interesting. I noticed that as I dropped into this more vulnerable space, they also softened up. It was almost like when I gave myself permission to be softer and more honest with them, it gave them permission in a way, as well. So that's some of my experience. So I would say, moving on to the next question, it's how can you explore being more vulnerable, at starting this moment? And this is when your practice will come, and you could, obviously demonstrate this with, like I said, with your friends, your partner, your family, colleagues, like I was saying, and even with yourself. I think more than anything else and anyone else, practice being vulnerable with yourself. I remember that I really looked at my eyes in the mirror deeply and gazed at myself. And I remember doing that throughout the week, and I broke down in tears. I believe one or two times, because it felt, I never really looked into my eyes, and I actually saw for the first time, like, my soul and how I was really feeling, and giving that space to myself to hold emotions for myself, no matter how raw or intense, and to process them. I also explored being more vulnerable by being more affectionate. So I, tried to be more open, give more warmth, more hugs, more kisses, be gentle with my hand, touch maybe my partner's arm, or my family, or like a friend's. It, again, work with what you feel is right for yourself. And like I was saying earlier as well, for me, I'm looking to manifest love and my beloved into my life. So I would really, this week, as I'm moving through this pillar with you as well, I will really practice being vulnerable with a man. And what I have noticed from my past experiences, when like I was saying with my parents, when I've allowed myself to become more softer and be able to receive my own energy and allow myself to be vulnerable, not see it as a sign of weakness, but rather strength, I've actually given permission to a man to be more masculine, to be vulnerable and masculine and emotional all at the same time, and to hold space for me, and to really serve me. So I'm really interested to explore this concept this week for myself. I am putting myself out there, and I would like to explore this emotion and this vulnerability more with men. And so maybe I'll practice doing this at work with a male colleague or with a male friend, and then moving on to maybe while I'm starting to go out there and put myself to date, and welcome love into my life. I would say, I really hope that you enjoy as you're going through this worksheet. And if I would also, as you wrap up this practice and, you integrate your, the mind, the heart, the body, as well as the soul, I really want you to integrate all these practices together. And for the mind, you can say an affirmation if you'd like, that is safe for you to be vulnerable and to be yourself and to receive this energy from others, as well as for you to transmit this energy to others as well. So you can say this in front of the mirror, whatever you feel is best. I said it out loud to myself while I was in bed, or in front of the mirror. In terms of the body, you can go ahead and do body scans and meditations. I'm going to really allow maybe to dance and move my body and exercise, and to really kind of move this excess energy around in my body, so it doesn't just lay stuck in my body, but it's actually being processed, being expressed. And that's the whole purpose of vulnerable energy. Allow yourself to cry openly, allow yourself to laugh openly, really give space for your emotions, honor them. Your emotions hold a lot of messages for you. And then in terms of the heart, the questions that I mentioned to you, that are in the worksheet that I will be sending to you, please do really journal about them. Write your answers, write what speaks to you and whispers to you and deep in your soul. And fall in love with your vulnerability. And lastly, in terms of a soul, embody your feminine vulnerable state. The most beautiful thing about being a woman is being vulnerable. So connect to that, tap into that energy, really become so comfortable in your skin so intimately that you can be vulnerable with yourself as well as others. And remember, this is, when it comes to the external world, it's up to you to decide whether you'd like to be vulnerable or not. This is an energy that you choose to transmit when you feel vulnerable, and when you choose to when you choose to not feel, open that energy up to others, that's totally all right too. So that's a decision for you to make and to honor your boundaries, but always ensure that you're being vulnerable with yourself. So again, I'd invite you ladies to become more wildly intimate with this pillar and fall in love with your vulnerability. Thank you so much. Again, enjoy.